Hey everyone, I wanted to start sharing a little bit about some easy tips on emotional healing. Easy, not complicated. Let's make this easy. I've been coaching some different folks lately, and a few themes keep coming up. And here it is: how do you breathe? How do you use your oils? And how do you know what to use to release? So I'm going to give you a few tips. That way you guys can write these down, put them on a sticky note, but remember to do them often. The first thing to do is breathe. So I'm going to share with you some techniques how to breathe. And it might seem strange to say, I need to teach you how to breathe, because literally the human body cannot not breathe. It is impossible to cause yourself to stop breathing. Did you know that? And yet, many of us shallow breathe. It's almost like we're panting. And if you put your hand on your chest, you can even feel right now, well, you probably just regulated your breathing because I'm getting on to you. I'm busting your chops about it. But in a normal everyday setting, if you caught yourself, you'd see you were breathing up here. What we want to do is make sure that we're breathing down here. Okay, so all you need to do is just sit with me for a second and just breathe. Okay, let's do that together. So simple, right? You want to make sure that your belly is sticking out. I know, in like 1960 something, Twiggy came on the scene and we all thought we had to have these flat stomachs, and then we all stopped breathing. Well, that's bad. The thing is that when we stop breathing, stop getting adequate breath, we reduce the amount of oxygen that goes to our brain. When we do that, your brain goes into fight or flight mode. It goes into survival mode. It thinks that it cannot deal, in a nutshell. It needs to find a way to keep doing the things that it does. So it prioritizes the major organs, but everyday things like healing your emotions, releasing that, kind of goes out the window. Okay, so let's breathe again real quick, and then we'll add an oil to it. Ready? You want to breathe about 3 to 4 counts up, and then exhale 3 to 4 counts. Real easy. This would be a great way to have a quick reset. We'll talk about that in a little bit. If you're having a rough day, or some news came across your desk, or you're thinking you're spinning out of control. If you just simply take a moment, put your hands on your belly and just close your eyes. What happens is your cortisol stops jamming out. Your endorphins start flowing again. Your feel-good hormones. And you get oxygen to your brain, and you're able to think clearly. It's like blowing out the exhaust that's in your brain. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab an oil. And in a minute, we're going to walk through the feelings kit. So we've got Valor, forgiveness, release, harmony, inner child, and present time. And I'll walk you through a couple steps of how to do that, okay? So I'm just taking my Valor. This is one that most people like to have in their pocket. It's good for courage. It's good for strength. It has the same frequency as our bones. So it literally gets into our bones and strengthens us from the inside out. But hold on. Before you get all excited and say, great, I'm going to throw my Valor on. My bones are going to be strong. I'm going to be able to rock this world. The other side of that coin is bitterness rots the bones. So if you have some bitterness or resentment, and you're kind of frustrated, and you're hanging on to old crap from people who've done you wrong, you're going to need to let that go. You're probably going to need to use some oils so that your bones don't rot and break. Okay? Okay, so let's do this. So first we rub it together in our hands, a couple drops, and then we breathe. So if you need to, you can go like this, right, just to check yourself. I know how I'm breathing because I've done it for a while, so I'm not going to do that. So we'll do this together. Ready? When you pair deep breathing with your essential oils, you are giving it a double knockout punch, a double whammy. You are breathing in fresh air from your lungs that's been cleaned, right? And then you're blowing out the junk air. But also you're breathing in these pure molecules. They're amazing. These oils are so amazing. They right your brain. they start sending signals to the rest of your brain starts sending signals to the rest of your organs, your body, telling it what to do in a better way. Communication lines are open. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, we're understanding each other, we're communicating better. Oh my God, it's almost like this floodgates of potential opens up. That's what happens when you use your oils. Before breathing, our brain is sometimes ping-ponging around trying to find a space to go, trying to communicate properly. When it can't communicate, it can't tell the rest of the body what to do in the way that it needs to do it. So we breathe, we get the oxygen flowing, we breathe in our oils so that it can carve in new neural pathways and send messages where they need to go. Make sense? So let's do that again. It's a good time, middle of the afternoon, to just do some breath work. And I love me some Valor. So let's do it together. Ready? Grab your oil, whatever oil. It doesn't have to be Valor, but whatever you have in front of you. I just happen to have a plethora. Ready? Good, yeah? And the cool thing is that if you start to do this more often, you're going to notice that your nervous system calms down. You're going to be able to start to feel the oil literally going from your mind all the way down right to your toes. As you start to first breathe. Now, before, I'll say this, if time allows, before you grab your oil, take a couple good deep cleansing breaths without your oil. Then take a couple breaths with your oil. That way you can notice. If you're in a pinch and you need to calm down right now, then just grab your oil, because you might as well hit yourself with a double arsenal. Okay, now I'm going to go through the feelings collection. Young Living has, 6 oils that are all designed to release feelings. Good feelings that maybe, I don't know, why would you want to release good feelings? That was a really super dumb thing to say. Strike that from the record. Really to release any kind of negative emotions, any kind of negative feelings. So sadness, grief, despair, disappointment, all the yuck, right? Personally, for me, our family has walked through a lot of grief in the last 6 months. Most of you probably know, if you're new to me, my husband passed in August. And so there's a lot of that. There's just grief. It's just natural. And so while my family doesn't want to just rush it out and say, oh, just cover it up, which is what a lot of people do, right? They suck it up and drive on. We want to process it in a proper way. And there is no proper way. There is no right way. But what I mean when I say proper way for me, proper way for my 5 children, proper way for you. 2020 hit this world with a whole bunch of yuck, and it has layered grief upon disappointment, upon despair, upon fear. There's a lot of those negative emotions that have been heaped on us as a culture. And so we need to release that. But with that, whether you have lost a person in your life, a pet, a family friend, any of that, there is bound to be some grief. If that is not your story, but you have walked through 2020 and then 2021, there can be grief of loss in that. Job loss, changing, yada yada, moving, whatever it is. My point of sharing all of that is, you know you best. If you're facing it head on and saying, I need to deal with this, then you're golden. And you're going to do it properly for the way that it affects you. Hope that makes sense. I know it does. Okay, so first, this is just the world according to Jen Weir, the world according to how I like to do it, how I've seen it best work with me, and my 5 experiments that I do. My guinea pigs, whatever you want to call my children, that's what they do. I say, guys, I have this idea. I want to try it on you. And they look at me like, great. Do I have to put an oil on? Do I have to write something? Do I have to eat something? Those are kind of usually our 3 things, right? Are you going to tell me something weird about the Bible that maybe we don't already know? That's a lot of times as well. So first, I like to begin with Valor. Again, this is just me. But here we go. Valor, number 1, because many times we need the courage to face what is staring at us. So we're not doing this. I'm not looking at you. We put on our Valor. We say, you know what? I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to get to it. I'm just going to get to it. It's kind of like if you have to write a paper for school. I'm thinking about my son with college. If you have to go on a job interview and you haven't interviewed for a long time, you put Valor on. It gives you some courage. You sit there and you wait until you can feel your pulse in both sides of your wrist. Why do we do that? Because we are energy. Everything is energy. We put an energetic oil on and it helps balance us. This is an energetically balancing oil. So we put it on, and please don't message me and say, Jen, I can't feel my pulse. And I would say, you know what? You probably should call 911 and not message me. I have had those messages before. You are not, what I will tell you is you are likely not in tune with your body, and that's okay. So then just sit there. Don't be in such a rush. Your pulse is there, I guarantee it. If you're able to type out, I can't feel my pulse, you got one, you just can't feel it. So when you feel it, you start doing that. Okay, good, we're balanced. The blood is flowing evenly on both sides. My heartbeat is balanced on both sides. I'm ready to move on. I'm steeled up, I'm courageous. I already am courageous, but there's that. The next thing you do is you think, do I need to walk through forgiveness first? Do I need to release anything before I can forgive? It's really up to you. Sometimes when I coach people, they are just not willing to forgive. They're so angry. So I say, hey, you know what? Let's put on some forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't going to magically make you forgive. What it's going to do is put you in this frame of mind. Remember, we're going back to our mind. What the oils tell our mind to do. It's going to take us to a place where we actually want to forgive. Where we feel like I want to forgive. Okay? So if that's you, if you're holding on to some anger and bitterness and you're just like, I'm not ready for you, then use forgiveness. What in that situation, if you're going to use forgiveness after Valor, this one you want to put over your liver, and I'm not going to lift my shirt up on camera because no one wants to see that, but you would put it over your liver because that's where we store anger and hate mostly. There's other places, but that's the primary way, area rather. You can breathe it in. You can put it over your throat so you can learn to speak forgiveness. You can put it over your chest. But this is where you start to say, where am I holding on to forgiveness? You start to begin to be in tune with your body. This is your body. You should know what it's thinking, what it's feeling. You really should be able to say, I have this and such going on. I'm going to take this and such to heal this and that. That's another class for another day, though. I know. I'm going a little too crazy for it. So forgiveness, or you can do release after your Valor. Now, release is obviously going to release emotions. It's going to release anything that you're holding on to. This is if you know what you want to forgive, what you need to release. So again, we put this on. Release can pretty much go anywhere you're sensing it needs to go. I'll just say that. No, I won't just say that, but I will start with that. I love to use release here. Some people say I say what I think. I don't beat around the bush. Well, you can all thank release and the Lord, because I know what I say is truth. So I do it here so that I can release those words out so they don't get stuck. Just a side note, as a kid, I had strep throat a lot. I used to get a lot of throat infections. Well, I was also not able, children were to be seen and not heard. It's how I grew up. Some of you grew up in that generation or that mindset. And so when you are somebody who is meant to say things and proclaim truth, it can get stuck. So you put a little release here and it helps loosen up your vocal cords. It loosens up any fear of speaking. If there's anybody who has some public speaking challenges, right, doing that will help get it up and out. Release on your chest if there's any grief. Breathing in, release over your liver. I have some of my children who hold a lot of their emotions in their bellies where they get stomach aches a lot. Or I shouldn't say a lot. If they get it more frequent than the average bear. They put release on their belly along with some stress away and then maybe some peppermint and everything is right. Right. So we have Valor, forgiveness and release, or release and forgiveness, whichever you choose. Then we move on to harmony. Harmony is one that you might consider using every day. It's part of Gary Young's Great Day Protocol. Is that how it says? And so I enjoy putting on about 8 drops on my palm, breathing it because I love to breathe the oils, and then I put the rest of the 8 drops over my abdomen, over your belly button. That is where life began. That is where your center is. We call it your core. You put it over your belly, and you now have created harmony from the very center of yourself, and then all the way out, and then all the way out, and then all the way back, right? So putting harmony over you, and even if you are a man or woman of prayer, asking the Lord to give you a mindset that is in harmony with His plans and His purposes for you for the day. The other thing, so if you're using it for emotional release, you can, after you have had the courage to do it, you have forgiven, you have released the emotion, now you're going to be in harmony with the good emotions that are made for you. Joy, peace, love, right? All of those delightful high frequency emotions. You want to be in harmony with that. Also, side note, when you walk through the world, you are projecting a frequency. Some people call it an aura, I call it a frequency, your spirit of God, whatever. You are putting it out. There was a study done in 1956 that in the Washington, D.C., that they had an antenna, right? And it was measuring how much they could pick up frequency from people. Let me think, I want to say about 4 miles out, they could pick up the frequency projected from a human from 4 miles out. That's pretty, your frequency goes out pretty far. So if you have harmony over this, covering it, whatever you send out is going to be in harmony. Make sense? Okay, I hope so. I know it will. You can also put abundance over your belly so that you are pouring out abundance. We're supposed to receive abundance from God and only Him. So we put it on our heads, right? And then our crown, whatever. And then you put it here so that whenever you walk out, you are pouring out abundance. That's another talk for another day. But just something maybe you want to put in the back of your mind. Because I'll say it again and you're going to go, she said that before. I remember now. Okay. The last 2, we've got present time. Present time is one. So this you might want to have on the dinner table so that phones can be put down and conversations can be had, keeping you in the present time. We can use the past as like a review mirror. We back into our future, right? We look at our past and go, okay, that made that mistake, learned that lesson, that was good, not so much here, like this, don't like that, right? We start to assess and shape our future from our past. However, many times people will take their negative experiences and shape the future in a negative way. They don't learn from that and say, okay, well, I'm going to see this the way I want it. I'm going to walk into this future with a good and expected end. Many times we walk into our future with a negative, like, ooh, that bad thing happened, so that's probably going to happen again here. There's no need to think that. We don't want to spend too much time in the future longing for the future, but we don't want to look at the past longing for the past, like, oh, I wish I had, regrets and all that. So we bring ourselves into the present with present time, and we glance back at the past. We look forward to the future with great joy. We do that from a position of where we are now. Okay, so present time. I will put this on because I do enjoy this oil so very much. This one I put on my crown, just a drop. Put it over my forehead. Breathe it in. That is delightful. And I think about the present, what situation I am, where I need to be, if I'm speaking at an event, if I'm teaching a class, if I am with my kids in our homeschool group, wherever I'm at, I need to be there and not thinking about every other thing that I'm not at. That makes sense? So present time is not just one for releasing emotions and healing from them, but it is also one to just keep you grounded in what we call the present. As far as emotions go now, this will help you from thinking back, wow, I can't believe that happened to me as a kid, or I can't believe this or that. That doesn't serve us now. There's no need to think about it unless you're currently working through processing it, So living in the past is not going to do anybody a hill of beans of good. And wishing something was different, also not productive. This is something that I want to share with you. I share with my kids today, and I'm probably going to do a whole write-up on it. But I said to them, look, is there any physical harm to you or any way that thinking about something in the positive adversely affects you. And of course, they're like, well, no, and my one daughter said, well, maybe you think about something like, oh, this great, amazing thing is going to happen, and it doesn't happen, well, you might have disappointment. I said, okay, but thinking during the time where you are thinking of that, was there any physical harm? No, of course not. Conversely, if you're worried about something, fretting about something, thinking about the past in a negative way, doing that, is there a physical effect? And my daughter said, well, I don't think so. I said, that's actually where we're wrong. It does have a physical manifestation. We worry, we think, we fret, we regret. All of those things adversely affect the body. Whereas if you are more Pollyanna about it, Mary Poppins about it, whatever you want to call it, just more positive, literally doesn't hurt you. I believed till the day my husband crossed over and passed away that he was going to be healed. Why would I think anything different? I did not damage my body any more or any less by thinking that. I probably actually did some good to it. If I had fretted and worried and feared, well, he died and I would have had all those negative emotions built up for all those months. That's no good. Okay, the last one is inner child. This one is super cool. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys to do. Some brave friends out there. I know I've got them. Take a drop. I'm actually not going to, I don't know why I just did that because I'm not going to do this while I'm talking, but you put it to the roof of your mouth. Well, I'll show you like this. Okay, and then sit there. It tastes kind of weird. Oh, my Lanta. I should not have done that. It tastes kind of weird, but if you sit there for just a few seconds, the first thought that comes in your mind, it's usually a positive memory, usually something about your childhood. That's your brain going back to a spot that was really good for you, really hanging on to that good memory, and you can connect that with a positive feeling, a positive memory, a positive emotion. Now, as you have been releasing your emotions, you can now ground yourself in that good memory. And that way, when triggers come up, which we'll talk about triggers another day, when that comes up, you can take out your inner child. Now, you don't have to put it to your roof of your mouth. I'm just saying that was a really cool thing that if you want to get a good memory quickly, you can breathe it in. Do that. It might take a little bit. The thing is, when you put it to the roof of your mouth, it goes right to your limbic system and it unlocks a full lot of good memories. When I very first did that, I instantly thought of Disneyland and all these good times we used to have going there as a kid. Then I thought of the beach. And so this oil quickly became my favorite. And so when I needed a happiness trigger, I take my inner child, breathe it in, and I was immediately brought back, not necessarily to that memory, but to that feeling, so that I could rise above my circumstance and be like, okay, I can see, I can breathe now, okay? That was my, as quick as I could possibly give you, rendition of these feelings oils. They come in the collection with Young Living, as you guys know. You can order them all separately. It's more cost effective to do it as a bunch. But again, if you're wanting to be more conscious of that, then you can just cherry pick them and get them as you need. There's two ways you can do emotional releasing. One, do it in one sitting like we just did, sitting, journaling, processing what comes up. The other is take one oil every week and work through it. 1 week you start with Valor. The next week, forgiveness or release, and then so on, right? Until you're done. At the end of 6 weeks, you've now walked through 6 oils and processed a ton of emotions beautifully, simply, slowly. In your body, you'll start to feel physically better. You might actually be even physically smaller. Many women I know have reduced their weight just by releasing their emotions. It's pretty cool. Okay, the last thing I want to share, hang with me for just a couple more oils. One is White Angelica. The second is Trauma Life. These 2 oils are fantastic. White Angelica is something most of us know about, but I'll just share it real quick. It has a lot of high frequency oils in it. You apply it. This one is one that I have a hard time not rushing through in the morning because I don't inhale it. I just apply about 5 to 10 drops in my hands a little bit, and then do this. Mostly here, I put some over my heart, right? Put some over my kidneys. This is your protector oil. This is your shield. This is your guard to protect anybody else's energy, junk. It's like your little energy bubble of goodness. Okay, so you want to put that on. I probably should have started with this, but it's an oil I don't necessarily use all the time every day, just when I know I'm going out and about in the world, especially in the last 23 months. Right, okay. I take this on the airplane too, because they mad. They don't have fun doing their job right now. I wouldn't either. Trauma Life. This one everybody needs. At Christmas time, I was like, look, if you're going to buy anybody a present, just get them a bottle of Trauma Life and tell them you're welcome. When I first got Trauma Life, my friends they said, just put on your liver until the bottle's gone. That sounded weird, but okay, I did it. And at the time, I had a baby with her organs born outside of her body. And my son had cancer, all the things. And so I was a little stressed. I was homeschooling 4 kids, nursing 1. So my stress was at an all-time high. I started to put on Trauma Life dutifully every day, morning and night, until the bottle was gone. And I just happened to feel better. It's how I know that you can just use your oils. You don't need to go through a whole bunch of emotional releasing at first. I will say it's helpful to get the junk out, right? But it will help you start to feel better. Feel like your head is not drowning, that you're above the water. So Trauma Life over your liver. If you have a child or you yourself just got an injury, putting Trauma Life on the spot of the injury, you can do that. There's a zillion different ways. That's an exaggeration. There's a lot of different ways that you can use Trauma Life. But knowing if you just get it on your body, it's going to start releasing that trauma so that it doesn't stick. If you're someone who went through trauma before 2020, diffusing it at night as you sleep is going to start to loosen up any of that crusty trauma that might be coated in your mind. After you finish one bottle, then you go back through and process it through journaling, thinking through what else do I need to release, get another bottle and start being more intentional about it. But if you've never used Trauma Life and you're wanting to get it on you, just get it on you. You'll start to see a huge shift. Okay, so that was Trauma Life and then White Angelica. White Angelica is the high frequency oils. It's going to raise your frequency. It's also going to protect you from whatever else is out there, because Lord knows folks got some stuff that they are just shedding all over the place, right? Right. Okay. Thanks you guys for joining me for just this quick rundown of Feelings Collection and these 2, White Angelica and Trauma Life. I hope it was helpful. You guys know where to find me. Message me, text me, carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. But I'm here for you, whatever you need. Talk to you guys soon.